Hello, everyone. It's almost Christmas. Um, got a little free time. Figured I'd try and get back into an old hobby I used to have, recording videos and such. Vintage Story has been a game I've been quite addicted to for some time now. I couldn't tell you how many hours I've put into it, um, but it's more than is reasonable for a working man. So, anywho, we are playing modded. So if you want to look through all of these, try not to put too many things that are just making the game easier in here. But there are a lot of quality of life things. I used to run read drop buff mod, but that gets old. I think I want to have an actual read farm, put in a little more effort. I've disabled, I like the Stone Age mods, but I've disabled this one because the Aurochs that spawns, it gets annoying, or kind of breaks immersion when you combine it with, it's in here something, medieval expansion, because it also adds an Aurochs. So I've disabled that. But we do have Canine, which adds canines, different wolf, fox types. Anywho, oh, and I added better fire pit because it makes absolutely no sense in my head to have to reheat every item individually in a fire pit. Fire pits don't reset their temperature after you're done cooking. So, anyway, these are mostly just quality of life stuff. Item pickup notifier, adjusted stack sizes. Anyway, so we're going to start a new world. Maybe just go Broncos. How about that? Standard, I do like changing a few things in here. Maybe we'll let monsters spawn right away. Drop inventory contents. I could go either way on that. It is really annoying, but yeah. Anyway, in my head, I would think, given the lore, you get sent back temporally. It doesn't make sense that your items would fall off of your corpse unless you leave a corpse behind. So maybe, nah, we'll leave that on. I am going to up the timer on it though, because I can't tell you how many worlds I've ruined. Getting a little risky. I tend to fly by the seat of my pants a lot of times. All of these look cool. I'm not a fan of cave-ins or soil instability. I think those are, I could do soil instability, but I love living around mountains. And as someone who lives at the base of a mountain in real life, soil doesn't really bathe like this. So, cave-ins, maybe if they could do it for like sedimentary rocks instead of granite, I would be more okay with it. Obviously going digging in sandstone or limestone, maybe there's more of a chance of a cave-in. But granite, makes no sense to me. Anywho, creature swim speed 200%. We're gonna drop that down to 100. Aggressive is fine. Let me see. Tool durability. I don't have any repair mods installed, I don't think. And having, as an active tool user myself, being in the trades, the tool durability is abysmal on 100%. So we're going to bump that up to 200. mining speed is fine. Actually, if I wanted to be realistic about it, I'd drop it down to like 25, but we'll leave it. Stone, wood, and bricks. I'm going to change that to most cubic blocks. I do like the color accurate world map. And yeah, temporal stability. Not a huge fan of temporal storms. So we're going to change that to a bit shorter. I just find them really irritating and they don't really add anything to the game for me personally. And I'm not a huge fan of rifts all over the place. And for the seed, I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe I'll use a seed. I know Mischief of Mice is a pretty good seed. It parks you pretty close to some limestone. But I think we're just going to let that rock and roll. 256, change that. Maybe landform scale, bump that up to like 160%. Land cover. Yeah, I want to put that at 95, just so we have a chance at an ocean, because I do like the idea of boats. Yeah, screw it. We'll do that. And I think that's it. So this series is not really going to be rushing the story, so to speak. It's I've gotten to iron a few times, but I don't know. I think the goal with this is just going to be kind of a building, kind of a cozy sort of thing. Okay. And I have a mullet in real life. It'd be really cool if they would add a mullet, but that's about as close as I can get. Mustache. Yeah, something like that. And as for class, there's something to be said for just running commoner and then disabling class-specific recipes. However, a lot of people are going to think that's kind of cheaty. So, I mean, if I was going to rush the end game, I think I would, or the story rather. The story's not even halfway done from what I understand. But if I was going to rush the story, I'd probably run Blackguard. Taylor seems interesting, but it's a debuff to pretty much everything. I think you only pick Taylor if you have other people playing with you, which I did play with my wife a little bit, but she gets annoyed playing with me. But I think we're going to run with Malefactor. You do get a nice little early game weapon, I think. And maybe it's not early game. I think you can craft it with linen, but I'm not sure. Either way, you do get a custom weapon or a unique weapon. You get better drop rates for pretty much everything. I think this will make the early game a little easier. So we spawned in Conglomerate. So it was about this point in editing that I realized I set the encoder up wrong in OBS, and about 4 hours of footage was a blurry mess due to some bad VBR settings. So we're just going to kind of hit the highlights and in the process skip about 8 days, which is almost a month ahead. So here we go. We made some stone tools, pretty standard at the start. Found some flint, went and whacked a couple bushes for some branchy leaves, and crafted those up. Went wandering around a little bit. I stared at the map trying to find more clay deposits, and the area is actually pretty rich in those. We visited the trader, I believe, and we grabbed some clay. We found a pretty big deposit of, I say deposit, there were reeds lining the entire shoreline pretty much. We wandered around a little bit, but we kind of stayed in the spawn area. You know, it's pretty scenic. It's got a nice beach, and I actually end up digging into that hill there off to the right. But we gathered enough cattails for a reed chest and 4 backpack slots. We end up finding copper pretty early. And actually, unfortunately, I couldn't include all of the clips, but we found several copper deposits through pretty early on, actually. Usually, turning down the rarity doesn't increase deposits to this magnitude, but some areas are more rich in surface deposits, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But there's still a distinct lack of limestone or chalk so far, so we might have to travel pretty far to get started on the tanning stuff, but at least we found metal. Night shows up pretty quick, and we end up heading back to that one little spot over there in kind of the corner where the corner of that hilltop where we saw the reeds the first time. But we have acquired almost everything that you really want to find on your first day. Some food to stay up all night, and plenty of clay to get our starting items. So after digging into the hillside and reaching stone, I enclosed it in some packed dirt, which is crafted in a 6x2. And I start clay forming, and really the goal here is to get a bowl, a pot to cook meals in, a crucible to start metalworking since we've already found copper on the first day, a crock to keep some like a nice buffer of meals in until winter starts getting closer. We're probably going to craft a lot more crocks, probably somewhere in the 50 to 60 range, and we'll have a whole cellar to put them in. But we'll get our basic food items and our crucible set up, and then we're going to start crafting a pickaxe mold, a hammer mold to break up ores into bits. We'll craft a food storage, which would be a storage vessel, and then we're going to craft up an anvil mold, which is one-time use. Later on, we do find some tin, and thankfully we are able to skip the copper anvil and make a tin bronze anvil, as well as several tin bronze tools, which is very helpful. Most of the time you have to craft a copper anvil first. I believe we also make a watering can and some ingot molds. We end up making enough clay items to fill up 8 pit kilns, and the next couple of days are just finding sticks and grass, and we dig up some peat and we set everything up in the pit kilns to fire. So didn't miss much here. It's really unfortunate that the video got messed up so much, but it is what it is. You get a nice compilation. So our pit kilns are firing, and I begin collecting some medium fertility soil to start our farm. Farms are very important to get started as early as possible. I believe this is day 3, maybe day 4, I believe. And getting farms into the ground as quickly as possible is really important. So you're going to build them in this 8-block circle connected with a source block in the middle on a beach. That's usually why I like starting on beaches. Then you'll craft a hoe and turn everything into farmland and start putting your seeds in the ground. I got pretty lucky. I found a decent amount of flax to get started, but I find a whole bunch more later on, going looking for more copper. So I go scouting around for a lot more copper, and then I come home and I start building a charcoal pit, because we're going to need that in order to make our tools. So you just dig a pit, cover it in soil, and fill it up with wood. Not necessarily in that order. Right after that, our clay items finish up in the pit kilns. So I pick all of those up, and we're almost ready to start making our first metal tools. This is all in the first month of the game. I was incredibly lucky with all the copper deposits I found, and the tin, for that matter. So as we're mining for copper, I end up relieving some andesite so that I can craft a quern in the future to grind up things like grains, and there's a few other things that you'll have to grind up. We mine some more copper, and then we end up finding some tin. We get some of that, and then we make our first anvil right about here. First anvil being bronze avoids wasting like 8 copper ingots. Because if you make a bronze or a copper anvil first, you have to break it down with a chisel to get those bars back. And we actually have enough for 1 ingot for a pickaxe. We grab some larch, And then I believe it's oak and some maple. So we find a nice spot on top of that little cliff. Again, where we first saw the reeds. I didn't end up going too far from spawn in this case. And we start construction on the house. Then we start making some more tools. So we already have a pickaxe and a hammer, but we're going to want a chisel and a saw to get some finer details on our semi-permanent home. We don't know yet if we're going to stay here, but we get a chisel, a saw. I believe we make some nails and strips for chests, and a scythe for gathering dry grass. And then later on, we also make some more bronze tools. We upgrade our axe, we upgrade our shovel. And then we just continue construction on the house. I really like the color palette. I think I could have done a little more if I had, if I really wanted to put more effort into it. I probably would have done some wattle and daub for the walls instead of planks, but we can always go back and upgrade it later. We'll have plenty of time for chiseling in the winter. Then we find this pretty sweet ruin. So now we start on the laying out the fireplace. Really, you can just place some blocks where you want the kitchen to be. Then we start chiseling. Hammer in the offhand, chisel on the hot bar, right-click a block to make it chiselable, and you can make a nice little chimney for the smoke to escape out of. You could press F to change the size of the chunk you're chiseling, but anyway, that's the kitchen complete. Then we start chiseling on some more oak quarter logs for the completion of the build. So yeah, now that we're all caught up, let's move on to hopefully better video quality and live commentary. And we're back. Hopefully this looks a little better. It was looking pretty atrocious, especially at the start. So, but I think I've got everything sorted out. Let's I think we're going to start tearing down that forge over there. But before we do that, let's make some fences. And obviously this stuff's going to have to move. So we can do that right now. Probably just oak, honestly. So let's make up a few more boards. We'll put this back. Press H. Fence. So it's 2. I know you just spent 15 minutes watching a recap, but I don't believe I mentioned there's a couple bears running around over in that direction. So we're gonna have to do something about that eventually, but not just yet. We should make a gate, which I think is boards. It's just the reverse of the fence recipe. So we'll make 2 of those. So we'll put that back down. And all we have to do is sort out what we want to do for the roof. I don't know what we're going to do there yet. We will need a roof at least over the foraging area to prevent molds from breaking. But for now, we're going to go take a nap. Revisit that problem in the morning. It's wintertime currently, almost Christmas, so I do miss the sun coming up at 5 o'clock. But anyway, we're going to go start grabbing some of our forge materials. We also need to water our crops. This amount of crops will very easily carry us through winter, especially once we start hunting. There's plenty of deer and boar around, so I believe we should be pretty okay as long as we get enough crocs made up. But anywho, let's grab this and this. Toss all of these molds into our inventory. We're gonna grab this guy. And we did find an aged torch holder in that ruin. Just one, though. A little disappointing, given the size of the ruin, but I was thinking about building a staircase coming down to the beach, and I might still do it. But given we've moved on top of the hill, I don't think it's a huge priority right away. But Tool rack here. We're going to need considerably more ingot molds, I think. I don't know if I want to... There's a guy on YouTube I watch that does a lot of Let's Plays. I think his name is Neil Hero. I always like watching his stuff. It's very interesting. He does a lot of large-scale builds, but I don't really have the amount of free time that he apparently has, because he comes up with just these astronomical amounts of stuff. I don't think I have that free time. I think we'll end up changing this out for cobblestone. I did make a decent amount earlier. 42 to be exact. So I think this front area will end up being cobble, as well as this wall in particular. So I can move my tool rack over. That's the thing with building your first house. You kind of just wing it, and then you fine tune it later to really suit your needs. I think flint tools are a bit slow, but once you get to metal tools, I think, given the time scale in the game, it's pretty true to life. It really does not take a whole lot of time to fell a tree. So next on the agenda, I think, is to grab some more wood, get some more charcoal going. Maybe I'll build a little pit over here, depending on how much cobble I have left. And we really shouldn't put a fire pit out here yet if we're going to replace the floor. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Craft larch, or slabs in general. You craft like this, and then you can force them horizontal by putting them in the crafting grid again. Just makes it a little easier. Just like that. Alright. So for now, we'll set these over here. We'll dig all this up. This shouldn't mess up the look of the interior too much, except for in this little corner very specifically. We can still keep that plank look on the inside because it's mostly hidden by our kitchen. And I don't have a pickaxe on me. And we'll make some shelves to store things. Maybe a double chest right here later on, once we get some more nails and strips, I think. Our next order of business, we'll clear out our building materials. Charcoal will go in our valuables chest. Get some more medium fertility soil, so we can make a 5x2 pit, maybe a 3x3 with one left over. So we'll just do that over here. Just dig up that center block when we want to put the trees in there. So I think going this way, as far as firewood goes, I could use the leftover maple from the house build and just fill up that pit right away. It appears we have some rain coming. But I kind of want to leave those trees alone just for the aesthetics. But I don't want to go this way because there is a wolf pack. So I think we're just going to go up the side of the mountain and grab these larch. I believe they're larch. I could be wrong. There's chickens over here. I may get started with the animal cages mod when I smelt up the rest of my copper. Starting out, you do have to kind of build the animal pens a little further away from your base because until you're a few generations in, animals are very scared of you. So we need 9 stacks of firewood, which means I'll probably craft up some stone axes so I don't waste durability on this one. What is over here? Ah, pear tree stem. And if my eyes are not mistaken, that is bauxite. That'll be very important for steel making. Actually, we have almost everything we need for bauxite. Right here we have quartz. Bauxite and quartz for bricks to start our steel making whenever we find iron. Very nice. I'd almost rather farm oaks, but I think oaks take a little longer to grow. Kind of makes sense. They're a hardwood. So want some vines, I think. And then I think we'll be good to start smelting up the rest of that copper that we found. And if you look on the map, we actually do have several more deposits to clear out. So once we find bees, we might even be able to start doing something with lanterns. Yeah, I think almost a full stack. Let's grab a little more. Judging by my hunger, I'm gonna have to start foraging again. I think all I've got left is some mushrooms, and the farm is not quite ready for its first harvest. Oh look, a pumpkin. Very nice. Heat resistant till 104. So I think we'll plant that here pretty soon. Maybe outside the house somewhere. They do need a lot of space to grow. And given how many raccoons and rabbits are around, I might end up doing some pit traps. Get some free meat that way because my protein is non-existent right now. And chop up all these large logs and see what we get. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 with this left over. I did find a copper falx. Come back here. And that guy just fell over. I made rifts invisible because I think they're unsightly. I don't enjoy looking at them, and it gets really annoying when you have to run through them. We'll put this last stack right here. Charcoal pit unlit. We'll light it up. Cobblestone on top. And it'll start these little smoking particle effects, so probably around noon tomorrow, this will all be done. It'll be all done cooking up. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we'll put one in here. Maybe we move this over. It's not what I meant to do. Also not what I meant to do. There we go. We'll have some ready food items right there, along with our crock. Let's fill up our... Oh, man. Yeah, there we go. And that'll keep it fresh for a little while. Good backup food source. Then I think we'll put... Maybe not right there. Right there. And actually, now that I'm looking at all of this, I think I'd prefer to put this right here. And our anvil... Oh, we're gonna have to do some rearranging to make this a little more, or a little less nonsensical. Maybe we put that right there. Move our fire pit over there. Put our anvil right here. And the other shelf there. I think that ought to do. Yeah. Maybe we put our fire pit right next to our forge. Just like that. Then we get some firewood. Store that in there. Yeah, forge definitely goes in the corner. What am I thinking? Lots of baddies out tonight. And I think we're going to go to bed. Pretty proud of our progress so far. Got our whole forge area set up. House is built. I think next episode we're going to start on our cellar. But before that, we'll probably go foraging for some more food. And try to get our hunger situation sorted out. Maybe I will fill in this window. And that was the wrong orientation. Just like that. And I think we put a second door in here. So I think we're going to end up building an oak door. As well as a trap door. Or a couple of those. For the cellar. We'll move this. And that should solve our little hitch on the stair problem. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this so far. This is going to go downstairs eventually, but for now, we'll set it right there. We'll go to bed. And I will see you guys next time.